Welcome to Amzur Technologies webinar called Elevating Software Quality with AI-Augmented Managed Testing. Again, I'm your host, Alex Jarrett. You may know me from Technology Executives Club and our own podcast show called Technology Executives Review. I'm very honored to have you all here, the host of Amzur Technologies webinar. And there's really great people. I know they've been doing a lot of work in the areas of helping companies leverage AI, machine learning, cloud, and low code to enhance efficiency and growth. Today's speaker is Balu Subramania, and he is head of quality engineering at Amzur Technologies. And I know he does a terrific job. And Balu, I just want to say hi, and I just say this is really a great topic that we're going to cover today for everybody on LinkedIn and our webinar platform. So we really appreciate you putting this together. I know it's something everybody is really interested in. And so with that, I'm going to turn the mic back over to you, and I'll see you on the back end.
Yeah, sure, Alex. Thanks for that. Hi, folks. I was talking about the power of AI in managed testing services. We're going to talk about AI automation tools and the fundamental change how managed testing services is operating now. So I also spoke about traditional repetitive tasks like test data generation, execution, and even basic automation script generations, which have become automated nowadays. Now freeing up valuable time for testers to focus more on strategic areas like exploratory testing or backward compatibility testing and analysis. AI automation testing tools are significantly improving efficiency, thereby streaming your testing cycles. What typically takes 6 to 7 weeks is getting delivered within a span of 2 to 3 weeks with high quality, thereby cutting down the defects to the max size with zero and elevating the quality of the product. Most of the repetitive tasks are completed much faster, allowing for quicker turnaround and allocation of resource towards higher value activities like test strategy development. To me, AI in managed testing services is like having Sherlock Holmes, who is a famous detective, who gets all your puzzle pieces together and clues to solve a particular crime scene or a murder case. So why I'm referring to a crime scene or a murder case, for me, a defect is a crime scene. So most of the AI test tools are vast amounts of data. They collect all your historical data from the previous projects, previous sprints or release cycles, and they try to find the patterns and the hidden insights that might escape a human tester, where even there is a chance of, where humans have a chance of missing the edge cases on the application as well. Next slide. So we're going to talk about some of the key aspects of the managed testing services. One is the enhanced coverage and protection. What exactly is this? AI-powered tools leverage automation to achieve more comprehensive scope of testing. This reduces the time needed for manual testing while ensuring all critical areas of the application are covered without fail. And tools also analyze historical data to predict potential defects in advance in your lower environments like QA or your dev environments. So this allows teams to address them, get them fixed before they become the biggest problems in production. So additionally, AI test tools eliminate human bias from the testing process, leading to more consistent and more reliable results. So what is the benefit? You achieve comprehensive test coverage with AI-driven test automation, accelerate testing cycles with faster execution and analysis, proactively identify potential defects before they impact most of the customers in the production, ensure unbiased testing by eliminating human subjectivity. We also have AI-driven test efficiency, which talks about the process by recommending most effective test cases based on their integration with tools like Jira. And your AI tools, once they are integrated with Jira, they understand the priority of the test cases. They can know what test case takes the priority based on the severity and complexity of the feature. This not only reduces the time it takes to create tests, but also ensures they target the most critical and complex areas or features of the application. These automation tools provide real-time feedback on executions, allowing developers and the testers to come together to address issues quickly, have your traffic triage calls, get them addressed, reproduce, fix, and deploy back to the UAT or production. They seemingly integrate with your CI/CD pipelines, where most of the traditional approach uses Jenkins or Maven for CI/CD pipeline integrations, enabling continuous testing and faster deployments. So they can detect anomalies in test results, helping you to pinpoint potential issues before they are escalated back in the production. What is the benefit? You have designed, optimized your test cases, covering all the edge cases and business cases of your application with AI powered recommendations. You get faster feedback loops from your customers with real time executions and reporting. You integrate seemingly with your CI CD pipelines for rapid deployments into the UAT and production. Identify anomalies in test results for proactive debugging. We also have evolving scalability and agility. Now, this particular service talks about the flexibility to adopt testing strategy as your software evolves. Test tools can scale testing efforts up or down automatically based on project requirements, ensuring you have light level of test coverage without wasting resources. Test tools minimize human error by automating repetitive tasks and reducing reliance on manual intervention. This leads to more consistent and reliable testing outcomes. What is the benefit? You have an adapting your testing strategy through AI automation tools, evolving software requirements, scaling testing efforts effortlessly to accommodate the growing needs of your customers, changing trends of your customers, and changing behavior of your customers towards the applications, minimizing human errors, relying testing outcomes, and optimizing costs, efficient resources allocation. So the last part of this slide talks about improved realistic results, where you have unusual patterns or outliers that might indicate potential more problems in your all your web applications. So this allows AI automation tools to pinpoint issues and regression suites to run more rapidly, more quickly, reducing the risk of defects slipping through the cracks. Additionally, these test tools can generate realistic and diverse test data sets that reflect real world usage scenarios. So what do you get the benefit? Identify unusual patterns and outlines in test data, pinpoint potential defects, and regression suites are automatically scaled, thereby decreasing the number of iterations and generating realistic and diverse test data. And what makes a managed testing services with AI integration successful? I call it as, or rather, we can call it as an accelerated testing and delivery with AI test driven solutions. Now, in most of the today's fast paced digital landscape, business, most of the business and organizations are under constant pressure to deliver high quality software at an unprecedented speed in your agile. Now, this demand has led to the adoption of AI-driven solutions that can automate, optimize various aspects of your software testing and deliver intelligent test case generation to predictive defect analysis and removing the flakiness, thereby healing your test scripts. So most of the AI test tools pave the way for a new era of software quality assurance. Now, how does it get into the place for AI? One is the test case prioritization and generation. Creating test artifacts can be slow and lack traceability with your traditional approach. Ensuring software quality requires a well-defined strategy for test case prioritization and prediction. With AI test case prioritization, because it integrates, as I said earlier, with your Jira, it can understand your test cases, study the priority and severity of these test cases, and also create a pipeline of all the critical functionalities and critical factors or functional behaviors of your application, thereby lining them in the pipeline. However, the evolving AI, especially in the automation side, is revolutionizing this domain. Most of the testing tools use AI for prioritizing and optimizing the execution order of executing these test cases, offer advantages, test case management, creating more test beds, breaking down on how AI tools give the most priority and severity for your test cases. They also identify risks while executing the test cases, and they can analyze application to identify high risk areas, consider factors like code changes, user traffic patterns, past defect history is where your defects have been crawled in the past defect releases. Prioritizing tests that target these high risk areas can find critical bugs earlier in the development cycle, uh, thereby elevating the quality of your application. And what is the business impact? Most of these tools can take into account the business impact of different functionalities, covering critical features that are prioritized to ensure core functionalities before regression suits are completely tested with flawless, thereby giving a sign off to UAT or production. Overall, your AI tools run the most impactful tests. What is the benefit? It gives you a faster test creation, reduce maintenance, and improve scalability, environment issues, and thereby correcting all the blockers in your application and elevating the quality of your application when it goes to the customer. Talking about the defect prevention and prediction and fix, delivering high quality software requires constant battle against defects. Now, these defects and bugs can end up with lots of issues in the production. Thereby, you need to go back and check out understand the root cause analysis, spending lots of time on this. Now, how AI is going to change the game? Fixing a defect with an AI is relatively inexpensive as the code is still being actively developed. Your AI automation tools can study the history of the defects through your past sprints and releases, and they can elevate the various areas of flaws and the cracks that can happen overall in your architecture, in your design, in your code, in your testing, taking to the development, deployment as well. Costs increase in additional testing and debugging are absolutely done by your AI. So the rise of AI in defect management has changed drastically, thereby preventing defects. They can analyze past defects to pinpoint areas where you have major errors, focusing on these areas to identify fixed problems, predict defects, identify in the code higher likelihood of containing defects, has self-healing, removing all the required flakiness in your test scripts with intelligent test case generation. These test cases based on application behavior can elevate user interaction, potentially uncovering edge cases and everything and stuff like that. Visual regression testing as well. Most of the AI tools are participating in the visual UI testing as well. Whereas in an orthodox way of testing with Selenium, Cucumber, and Java-based frameworks, testing the UX components of the application is definitely a cumbersome job. But with your AI test automation tools, they can detect anomalies and they can identify unusual patterns in the behavior of the application, thereby increasing continuous testing, continuous delivery, and allowing faster detection of issues introduced before the code is changed from an overall expectation. So this proactive approach promises a significant benefit to the organization, thereby reducing the rework, improving the quality, and faster time to the market. Talking about the flakiness removal and self-efficiency, we know that most of the automation frameworks that are written, they require standard updation and optimization of the locators in the properties file, where you need to change the locators, and challenges with the weight methods that are orthodoxly used, like implicit X with weights and thread dot sleep, thereby killing the time of rework on these automation scripts. So these are some of the major drawbacks in the flakiness removal and self and removal, and using the Cucumber BDD framework as well, designing your step definition file, understanding webhooks, integration challenges with your flakiness and with your applications as well, maintenance and scalability, reporting and analysis, one of the biggest challenge, where built-in reporting capabilities, challenges in the root cause analysis takes a lot of time. With flakiness removal, there will be an increase in reliability of the test suits, reducing time spent on investigating false positives. What is false seldom becomes true. What is true seldom identified as false in a traditional approach. And with the self-healing capabilities, most of the automation test scripts adapt to minor changes in the application and the tests without requiring manual intervention. And with the use of AI automation, these suggestion fixes or the broken tests can be quickly fixed, reducing maintenance and faster adoption and deployment to production. The same is the case with risk identification and prevention. Most of the risk in traditional approach or because of incomplete and inaccurate requirements. Scope creep, maybe due to the poor system designs, coding errors or defects that are not caught during the early stages of the design of the application, technical debts, incomplete testing, missing some of the edge cases in the application, and running the regression cycles more than twice, thereby increasing the iteration of the application. Now AI can test. How can it help you there? It can change the requirement analysis, thereby analyzing user data and past projects to identify potential requirements and predict user needs. Most of the risks are identified in advance, and with most of the common risks that we talk about, as I told you earlier, with strong code reviews and analysis, AIs can identify potential coding patterns and security vulnerabilities as well as performance bottlenecks in your application. So what is the benefit here? The benefits of AI test tools in defect prevention and risk management is that they can catch defects earlier in advance, cost and effort of fixing them goes down, improve the quality of the application, reduce risk, and increase efficiency of your overall application. Security and performance testing are also an incumbent part of your AI automation. Now we have orthodox or the traditional approach of testing the security of your application as well as performance testing of the application. But when we talk about security testing of the applications, we have a traditional approach of aligning all the security practices within the organization, having strong audits, having strong cybersecurity practices, and using all automated tools or functional tools like ZAP, which is Z attack proxy. Also, for example, like Burst Suite. These tools elevate the security testing of this application. They have their own drawbacks. So once you start testing your applications, you'll try to the vulnerability assessment and penetration testing that is traditionally done has several gaps or challenges. One is it is time consuming and it's labor intensive. Traditional VIPT often requires significant manual effort, making it slow and resource intensive. And due to the limited scope, the traditional approach may not cover all possible attack vectors and scenarios, potentially missing critically vulnerabilities. Point in time assessment, where the VIPT or vulnerability assessment and penetration testing provides a snapshot of security at a specific point, potentially missing new vulnerabilities that might emerge due to the code enhancements or application enhancement. Lack of continuous monitoring. This requires a standard monitoring on a periodic intervals to identify any vectors in your application, because as the hackers are increasing on trying to attack your application, your production environments, and false positive and negatives is one of the major drawbacks here. Now, how AI is going to power security and penetration testing using AI testing tools like Veracode, Acunetics, and Burst Suite. Of course, Burst Suite has its own professional edition, but it comes with a price when you integrate AI into the Burst Suite. The biggest advantage in security testing using tools like Veracode, Acunetics, and Burst Suite with AI is that you have automated and implemented comprehensive scanning. These tools can automatically scan applications for a wide range of vulnerabilities. Talk about password weakness, talk about username authentication, authorization, talk about code injections, talk about SQL injections, cross-site scriptings, and various DDoS attacks or phishing or malware attacks that may be caught in advance based on the historical data. Studying of the historical data and previous vulnerabilities that were caught in the releases. One advantage of using these tools is that continuous assessment. They do the continuous assessment on your applications, creating a pipeline while trying to understand detection of vulnerabilities starting from beginning of the application to the end of the application, as well as pattern recognition. The biggest area where you can elevate your security testing through AI is complex patterns or variation of known vulnerabilities. Potentially identifying these attack vectors can be missed by traditional rule system, but with the AI, you can elevate this. And AI tools can better understand the context of the application, leading to fewer false positives and more accurate identification of vulnerabilities. Talking about performance testing, In a traditional approach, we are quite aware that performance testing is typically done to understand the load, the endurance, the spike, and volume of an application when it is deployed onto the cloud. So most of the tools that are used there nowadays talk about JMeter, talk about Gatling, talk about load runner. Most of these tools are serving the purpose. If you talk about JMeter, JMeter is an open source and free tool. It's user friendly, basically built on Java, and it supports both HTTPS, SOAP, and FTP protocols, and it's highly customizable and extensible with plugins. So you can have all your HTTP requests, set up all your controllers, you can have the listeners, and you can test your application endpoints with requests and responses, thereby setting all your SLAs, benchmarks, and baselines for your application endpoints, API endpoints. What is the drawback of using tools like JMeter is that it requires a sound technical knowledge on advanced features that are used in the performance testing. The interface is quite overwhelming for the beginners. It's quite a little bit hard for somebody to master this. At the same time, the limited built-in capability and features of the JMeter for mobile application testing is absolutely limited. Talking about load runner and tools like that, we all know it's robust. It comes with a high price, and it supports wide range of technologies and protocols. It has strong integration and with other HP tools. What is the drawback? The proprietary tool is a licensing tool, and it is mandatory for somebody to have strong scripting knowledge. It has complex test creation compared to JMeter. So what is the use of having AI in this specific area of performance testing is that AI performance testing tools can elevate your performance, talk about QA, talk about UAT or production, thereby understanding the amount of percentage of volume or spike that the performance testing done on this application, on the CPU usage, on the RAM usage, on the memory usage, and also giving you an auto scaling capacity of your cloud. Now, there are certain tools in the market that are leveraging the performance testing. For example, Mabel leverages AI testing tools in performance testing, thereby generating and maintaining performance tests, reducing manual effort and improving test coverage. Talk about Testcraft, which is also a performance testing tool, comes with a price. It helps you identify, streamline debugging issues. Integrating with AI test tools for visual validation during performance testing ensures consistent user experience under load. Optimizing test scripts and predicting potential performance bottlenecks in advance is the biggest advantage for any business. Now, what is the benefit of having AI testing tools in managed testing services? That it increases efficiency. Repetitive tasks like test creation, analysis are freed up. Testers can have more strategic activities, improved accuracy. The results and the response and request times provided by these tools is dramatically awesome, and it gives you utmost real-time challenging. Enhanced scalability. It has complex applications starting from mid-scale to large-scale applications. These tools can leverage and test all your complex applications. Faster time to markets, automating tasks and identify issues in advance can help deliver applications faster. Next slide. Now we are going to talk about some of the real world case studies with AI test tools. As I told you, as I told you, one of the two of the major market leaders who have implemented AI in their projects, and they have shown utmost high quality of results. We are going to talk about Google AI for bug prediction. We are also going to talk about Microsoft AI powered testing with IntelliTest. So taking Google AI test tools for bug prediction, it sounds like there is a successful implementation with significant improvement in the development process. Now we're going to break down how Google has implemented this AI into their testing. Now, if you can see from the slide, you can see the initial performance when it comes to bug detection accuracy, it was 70%. This clearly indicates that the AI test tool incorrectly identified 7 out of 10 bugs based on code analysis. Average time to fix is 10 days, suggests that a relative long time between bug being introduced and the bug being fixed. So what is the improvement after implementing AI? The bug detection accuracy has increased to 90%. It signifies that a substantial improvement in identifying bugs, meaning the AI test tools are catching most of the defects in advance, thereby increasing the quality of the product. The average time to fix after the implementation of AI has reduced to 3 days. So this clearly indicates that major decrease in the time it takes to address defects, leading to faster fixes and potential fewer defects reaching to production. What is the overall benefit? Reduced development costs, faster bug detection, improved software quality, higher bug detection, enhanced developer productivity, identifying potential issues proactively. Developers can focus on fixing defects rather than debugging your code. When we talk about Microsoft AI powered test, IntelliTest, we can talk about some of the highlights of the AI used there. Microsoft IntelliTest obviously is available with your IDs like Visual Studio Code, where you can go to your extensions in your Visual Studio Code, you can download and start using your IntelliTest there. What is the advantage? IntelliTest is basically an AI tool specifically used for writing your unit test cases. So you can select the function or the method, or in your code, you can right click and ask the AI tool to write the unit test cases, thereby elevating the quality of the test cases written while addressing all the edge cases. So what was the manual testing challenge faced by the Microsoft is that it achieved only 60% coverage here, potentially leaving parts of this software untested. It nearly took 2 weeks, impacting development speed and time to market. And the post-release defects, finding 20 defects after the release is absolutely awful. Suggests that potential issues with manual testing effectiveness is absolutely, is not elevating the application to the wanted level. What is the benefit of using IntelliTest? It has improved test coverage. As I told you earlier, in your Visual Studio Code, it can start writing all the unit test cases covering 95% of your scenarios. Faster executions, leading to much faster and more efficient testing processes, reducing defects. So what is the overall impact? It has enhanced software quality of the Microsoft products, development efficiency, and also cost savings to the organization. So we are going to talk about some of the essential use cases for testing teams where AI powered test case prioritization is elevating the quality of the overall product of your application. Now, if you look at the use case here, it talks about a banking application to prioritize test cases for a recently updated fund transfer functionality feature on a banking domain. We can break this use case. If you look at the historical defect data, the AI system can access past information about defects encoded in the fund transfer feature that was introduced in this particular domain. The data could include details like type of the ticket, the defect, security issues, validation issues, and the priority and the severity. Impact of recent changes by the added functionality in this domain. AI understands what functionalities were introduced, modified in the code. And these algorithms based on historical defect data like your detective like Sherlock Holmes, they understand the impact of the recent changes. Prioritizing test cases that covers edge case scenarios as well. So thereby elevating fund transfer functionality, ensuring the entire functionality and the entire transferring of the funds is working as expected in the production. Elevating the security of the application, and also validating the transactions through transaction gateway. So what is the benefit of having AI driven test case prioritization? This gives you an efficiency, overall testing effects of most of the critical areas based on historical data and recent changes, savings time and resources. Improved quality, this is what is required. Most of the organizations and business focus on this. More quality, more ROI, less defects. Reduced risk, early detection of potential issues in the fund transfer feature minimizes the risk of financial losses. So what is the overall moral of this use case is that AI systems started to get into your test case prioritization by integrating with your tools like Jira and thereby elevating the quality. We have another use case with e-commerce app where AI powered self-healing comes into the picture. Now, this specific scenario describes about a self-healing system used in the e-commerce website to automatically update test scripts when the ID of an add to cart button in a particular web page changes due to a UX update. Now, we can break it down. UX update or an UI update or a locator change is an absolute challenge to an automation tester. I mean, if people use page object model or page factory or test-ng, you need to go back to your properties file in your page object model in your test script, change the locator every time. This is the biggest challenge. Though you use dynamic locators, this is absolutely a cumbersome job. And during the automation testing, the test script tries to interact with the add to cat functionality where the ID has been modified, leading to locator failure detection. So using if a POM is used, the system might analyze the page structure and identify alternative locators. You can only have one locator at the most when you use page object model with typical uh, traditional testing tools like Selenium or Cucumber. But when you implement AI defined testing tools, they allow you to record and play back your application, thereby writing all the required test scripts, explaining the code, modifying the code, fixing the code, and also creating self-healing to your test scripts. So what is the benefit of having self-healing tests? Reduce maintenance. You have multi-locators for each validation on your web application. AI stores that. You can go to the properties of this. You can change this. The biggest advantage and the game changer in this area of having AI in self-healing is that it is integrated with tools like ChatGPT and Copilot. Thereby, you can customize the script. You can write the script. Ask the AI to write the script for you, thereby increasing test continuity and delivery, overall test reliability, faster regression detection, cutting down the regression cycles, improve test efficiency to 90%. Now, how does it work? We have another use case of an AI defect prevention. We all know that defects are the major blockers for any project or product. They cost heavy for an organization. So if a defect needs to be fixed in a lower environment, like the local environment or a QA environment, the cost to fix is absolutely 10 times when it goes to the production. And organization end up spending lump sum of money and fixing these defects when they are slipped to the production. So if you look at this use case, especially on the healthcare, the AI system reviews the code of the patient data entry modules, analyzing various aspects like data types, validation rules, examines existing validation rules to ensure that adequate potential defects are caught in advance. And the code handles invalid input, error messages, preventing submission to the production. Historical data analysis. They understand your historical defects, prioritizing them based on the severity of the impact and the types of errors. Advanced error prediction and recommendation is the benefit of this use case, where your AI tools can predict them, thereby increasing code improvements, recommending code modifications to improve data handling and improve quality of the product. Last but not the least, we have another use case for smart code and version conflict resolution. We all know that once the QA goes for a sign off for a particular sprint or a release, the next job is to integrate the code, do the code merge, and have the version compatibility and remove all the conflicts by merging the code while deploying them to UAT or production. This particular use case speaks about e-commerce application to help developers merge their code changes for the checkout functionality without code conflicts. You can break down this process. So one is that AI system analyzes the code changes made by more developers to the checkout functionality. It examines aspects like modified files, functionality that includes purpose and impact of the changes made by each individual developer on the overall checkout process, conflict detection, overwriting both developers modified this because most of the developers can have same line of code. It overwrites that. have strategic recommendations based on analysis, best approach to merge and code changes, automatic merging, highlighting the conflicts. And AI could provide visual representation of these changes to help developers understand the conflicts and make informed decisions. What is the benefit of this use case? Reduce merge conflicts. Detection and guidance of resolving conflicts in advance saves a lot of time. Debugging and fixing these issues. Improved collaboration between teams, between multi-developers and the CI/CD pipeline and the DevOps teams. Faster code integrations. Streamlining merging process, AI helps developers to integrate code merge successfully, thereby enhancing code quality. Decreasing the maintenance, and AI tools learn from this, the past historical data and the quality of the application. Overall, using AI for much conflict resolution in especially e-commerce application can significantly improve developer productivity, collaboration, and the overall quality of the product. So we have some of the AI tools that are currently available in the market. It's not just the big list. We have segregated some of the tools that are good to have. So most of the tools offer community edition where most of the testing teams can use them, have a free trial of these accounts. Tools like Testim, Veracode, Mabel, Functionize, Testigma, Catalan, Lambda, they provide with a free trial account where you can log in and explore the functionality of these tools. I would say these tools are doing an awesome job. Whatever we have discussed till now, talk about prioritization, defect prevention, protection and fix, talk about risk identification in advance, talk about flakiness, talk about code smells, talk about self-healing. All these tools provide a fantastic opportunity for anybody using AI in their software testing. And we're going to talk about the future of AI test tools in software testing. So based on the usage of the tools, and as we discussed in our earlier slide, most of the tools have a prediction for the upcoming years, say 5 years from now. Revolutionary software testing in these 5 years, you can expect a shift from automation being a perk to a necessity driven in most of the organization, increasing the pace of the development using the AI powered tools. AI test tools will go beyond automated text, repetitive tasks, though it has started to change the game, and they will be getting into deeper and deeper of understanding your historical data, your past patterns, your algorithms, and they're going to take a lot of continuous learnings. So this will free up human testers to focus on strategist testing and leverage and giving a domain expertise to the AI to ensure software quality. The future of software testing will be collaborative effort between humans and AI, with each playing their own strategic strengths and roles. It's not just AI that is going to rule the game, but it's rise of AI and human collaborative testing. The future of testing is likely to involve close collaboration between AI testing tools, systems, and the human testers, thereby allowing humans to upskill, reskill, and get back to the pace with the bots. Increased automation, where AI tools, driven tools, will automate test case generation, defect prevention, and risk that we discussed earlier in a previous slides, giving you predictive analytics and self-healing capacity. They can generate test cases covering all the edge cases, every corner and niche of your application. They can understand the complexity of the functionalities, optimizing test prioritization, and they can integrate with the DevOps, creating a solid CI/CD pipeline, thereby removing all the code merge, conflict issues, and version control issues. Having a stable version in all the environments from QA, UAT, and production will be the game changer for AI. Integration of NLPs will study most of your requirements, human language interpretation standing from requirement documents, bridging the gap between development and testing. Questions?
A lot of information on those few slides.
Yeah.
A lot of
Thanks.
information. But let me just say something real quick, and then we'll get into questions. For those of you who have to leave because it's one, Try and stay. But we're offering our webinar attendees a free Q&A assessment, so stay tuned and we'll send it to you after this. So, but let's continue for those of you who are staying, which is a good decision to stay because we got a lot of ground to cover on these questions. It was a great presentation. I got a number of questions here I want to cover because I studied your presentation last night. Now that I heard it from you, I'm like, God, this is like a no-brainer. Any enterprise company or development company that's doing anything should be playing with this right now. We have our peer advisory group, and we literally just met Tuesday, and we included in our peer advisory group a standard AI Q&A session because everybody, I'm telling you, Balu, everybody is saying, "What do I do?" And I think you've done the community a really good service by saying, "Hey, testing. It's an obvious controllable environment as much
Right.
as something can be controlled,
Correct.
where IT can control it, and you can get really good at integrating AI into your work process, right? And start using it. So let's go back to a couple slides. I like to ask questions, which slides? So go back to the beginning, sort of the beginning, and I want to jump. I know in the beginning you said here's kind of overall, the different benefits and kind of things, but I want to, in the interest of time, go to those two. Go to those two. Unless there's something you want to add, really highlight up here. Is there any specific 1 or 2 points on those benefits? Just the introduction of AI, because I think everybody generally understands. But anything you want to highlight here, then I'm going to go to the case studies, which I think are really powerful. So
Yeah,
anything you want to mention here real quick, and then we'll go to the case studies.
I would say this is the heart of the presentation webinar, Alex.
This
You
one right
know,
here.
yeah, these 4 slides that we talk about the test case prioritization and
Uh,
generation, defect prevention, protection and fix, flakiness removal and self-healing, along with risk identification and prevention is the heart of the AI automation.
so this is
It's the
essentially
game changer. It's the
what it's
heart of the
doing. Got
game.
it. So test case prioritization and generation, defect prevention, prediction and fix, flakiness removal and self-healing, risk identification and prevention. So by helping you all do this is where you get those massive benefits. So if you now jump to the next slide, not that slide, jump to the case studies. Now we look at 2 sample case studies. And I just want to point out for those of you who didn't see this, everybody saw it if they were watching, but these improvements are pretty phenomenal. You've got then these are just 2 of the tools, right? Whoop, go back to that other slide. Go back. We'll come back to this in a second. Yeah, right there. AI for these are actual real world case studies.
Yes,
3-day, 70% reduction. Look at these accuracy ratings. I mean, this is phenomenal. That's the first case.
that's right.
And the second case is 95%. So if this doesn't prove to you, you should be doing this stuff. I don't know what will.
Correct. These are some of the biggest giants in the markets who have used the AI. Okay.
Yeah.
And they've started to change the way automation or performance or security testing or ad or testing or usability testing or backward compatibility. Talk about any type of testing in your application.
Yeah.
These AI tools have changed the game.
Yeah. And so the message is if you're not doing it, you're already behind.
Correct.
So let's go to the next couple slides. And I just want to have you flip through and comment on each of these, not the present, just kind of more a comment. Those I like this. I like how you call this essential use cases. So this
Correct.
is number 1, AI powered test case prioritization.
In the banking domain,
Oh, in banking, that's what these are. So you got banking. So this is an
e-commerce.
example. Banking. Does the Amzur robot come with the service?
That's a good one.
No? Okay.
Yes.
Just asking because I might want one of those. So
Yeah.
anyways, so this is test case prioritization, and this is in banking. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. And then the next one is self-healing.
E-commerce shopping app.
Got you. Now I understand what you were showing us. So this is the e-commerce shopping app. Got it. And so
And
you change the app and you can test it and self heal it. You can
yes,
fix itself.
correct.
That's pretty cool.
AI
That's
in
pretty
healthcare.
cool. Yeah. And then healthcare, the main benefit is in this app, identify certain
Advanced
type.
defect prevention and protection.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
That
Great.
is the key weapon.
That's really, advanced. It's doing it in advance. That's pretty interesting. And what is this
Correct.
one here? This is for code and conflict resolution.
Correct. And this is code merging, code conflicts, version conflict resolutions.
Wow,
When
this is
you have
really
your product shipped to you at your production,
this is really powerful stuff,
having AI
especially
there
because
is the biggest game changer.
is that right?
Correct.
Because every company now is in the software business, pretty much. Even if you don't sell it up front, you're using it to serve your customers on the back end. So this
Correct.
is essential stuff. So go to
Yes,
the next slide.
obviously,
Go.
Alex, because most of the organizations or people are used to having traditional approach of code merging.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
are lots of code challenges when you have the merging issues. Different version in QA environment, different in UAT and different in production leads to a lot of defects, lot of requirement creep, you know, as well as lot of deviation in the functionality of the application. When you have AI there, because AI can study, it knows your historical data. That is what I was mentioning. I was telling
Hmm.
AI comparing to your world's most famous detective Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
He's an excellent detective in solving crimes. What is your crime here? Defect is your biggest crime. He's collecting all the piece of puzzles, studying historical
I
data,
love
different
that. You should
patterns.
have put that in the slides. That's a great. Give him an identity, bad guy identity.
Correct.
So, let's go to the next slide because I got another question here. Now, because of your role, you're working with all, if not most of these tools,
Yeah, most of the
right?
tools.
Yeah. So Amzur is in this case, do you have tools that you're helping people with? Are you a in this role, you're a service organization? If somebody says, hey, this makes sense. I'm going to call Amzur, or if they call me, I'll respond. By the way, everybody, these are really nice people and they're smart, as you can see. If they reach out to you, please answer the call, answer the email because they can
Sure,
help
sure.
you and they're nice
Definitely,
people.
sure, sure.
So having said that, your role, Amzur's role, I imagine is as a combo service software organization development to help them put this together, right? So they don't have to do
Absolutely.
this alone,
Customer
right?
first.
Yeah. So that the role though, I'm asking, because these are not your products. These are
Correct.
other companies' products. So you all can help them with that. I think that was something that I was kind of curious about because I think that really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So what is the best way for people? Couple questions, and we talk about this all the time in our peer group. How does somebody start? Because one thing I want to say is the natural thing that I'm hearing a lot of is security.
Correct.
But in your area of testing, that should be just as vital as a lot of people are getting these AI enhanced security systems. I hear about it all the time.
Correct.
But it seems to me like this is just as vital for any company that does any kind of development or any kind of customer interface at all.
Correct.
Yeah. So how do people keep up with this? It's one of the
So it's more
questions that just came in.
okay. So I would say, using all these tools is definitely a challenging task. One point.
Uh-huh.
Second, most of the tools that are mentioned here are specifically built for certain types of frameworks, certain types of applications, certain types of domains. Okay, based on the customer necessity, availability, and the potentiality, you can recommend these tools. Okay, when you talk about automation, when you talk about automation using flawless,
Hmm.
removing the flakiness, self-healing, Tricentis testing is doing an awesome job there.
Hmm.
Okay, talk about catalog. If you want to, prioritize your test cases, start using your test cases, create test scripts,
Hmm.
record and playback functionality, you have catalog. You're getting my point, Alex. You
Yeah,
have
you're
Lambda
you're
test.
doing a good job
Most
here
of
of
these
telling
tools
people where
are
to
serving
start.
different areas of software testing, and software testing with AI is not a single piece of work. You know, different types of testing come into the picture. It's not just functional testing, it's not just manual testing, it's not just backward compatibility testing, exploratory testing. You have many things in the area.
Gotcha.
Especially, I was focusing on the managed testing services, elevating the quality, thereby increasing the ROI and the quality of your
Oh, that's
project.
what you can provide. You can help them
Correct,
do all this. Is okay.
correct,
Now I understand it because a couple of people are asking me, how can you help them? How can Amzur? That's what I'm getting to. So you can actually help run this for them, and you can start by just helping them and coaching them and see if there's something you can help them. So it seems to me like what you've described up to this point in the screen are table stakes at this point.
correct,
Like if companies aren't doing those initial use cases that you talked about in the
correct,
beginning, those four key use cases, they're already behind.
correct,
Okay. And I know that the challenge in the digital environment is once a company is a digital enterprise, and we know this from our conferences, they accelerate the speed and it's really hard to catch up. So I would urge everybody here to get involved in this. Now, the second thing is that's table stakes, but in the digital world, the future is even more important. So go to that last slide. What's the future of AI and software testing? What's the key thing that you want to say here? It seems like you just said the self-healing. You just said that a minute
correct.
ago, where it just starts to do it on its own.
If you can recollect, I was stressing on a couple of points while talking about the future of AI in
Yeah.
software testing. Most of the folks in the industry are in an assumption that your AI is going to take humans. It's going to do most of the job that humans are doing, but
Hmm.
that is not the correct real world case scenario.
Hmm.
I've told you that the rise of AI and human collaborative testing. Got my
Hmm.
point? So the
Yes,
future of the testing is completely dependent, and it involves a very close coercive collaboration. I would call it as a beautiful date between AI automation and the humans, where you can leverage each individual strengths and elevate the quality of the product. That is the key aspect of the hard discussion while talking about the future of AI. The
that's pretty
second thing,
amazing.
the
Yeah,
second thing is increased automation. AI has started to evolve. It started to understand how your application is behaving based on prioritizing your test cases, catching the defects, understanding the risks, removing the flakiness, and healing your automation. It's not
hmm,
just the entire story. What is the entire story is they understand continuously.
hmm.
It's the cutting edge and the state of the art of the AI tool to understand from the previous history. That is what your detective like Sherlock Holmes does when he enters a crime scene, right? He understands the patterns of the crime, and the fugitive who has done this crime does it in a different patterns and a different manners. That is what your AI is going to do. It's going to understand your historical data, understand your all the documents and artifacts that are used. It's going to integrate with incident management tools and ticket management tools like Jira, Rally, Assembler. It's going to get into your application code, architecture, design, and it's going to crawl to every niche and corner of your software quality and assurance, thereby increasing the presence of AI in every space of the quality testing.
That's pretty
What is
amazing.
what is the benefit of doing all this? Improving the quality ROI, cutting down the defects to zero, and elevating the brand legacy of the organizations. Got my
I
point?
love that. I love how you added that last one because it's so true. Well, listen, I think we're pretty much close out of time, and
Correct.
let's get to that last slide, just that ending slide.
Last slide, ending slide.
Yeah. And I don't see any other questions that have come in, any additional questions. Those are the core ones that I saw. And I want to thank you. I mean, I love your enthusiasm for this. You love your job. And it seems
Absolutely
to me like we've got the new role here is the hybrid
correct.
person with AI based testing experience.
Correct.
And you all are doing a great job of what I love about this is that you learned it before you started helping. You're doing the thing. You're doing the AI testing for your own services and own products.
Correct,
And
correct.
so now you're offering it as a service.
Yeah. So I would like to add one point if we
Yeah, go
have
ahead.
time. One point is that Amzur is passionate, since the beginning.
Yeah.
When we started to have the quality assurance and compliance, we started to elevate and upgrade ourselves on a day-to-day basis, keeping ourselves on pace with the market, elevating the brand legacy across multi-geographical locations.
Hmm.
Using tools like this, they're benefiting a lot rather than taking away the jobs. Correct. And most of the professionals working across in this industry are required to update and upskill,
Hmm.
reskill
That's
themselves,
right.
get ready to use these AI tools in their day-to-day jobs, thereby keeping your customer happy. If your customer is happy, you're happy. That is the secret funda of any business. It's not just testing, it's not finding defects. It's more than having a happy smile on the customer is the secret of the business. Make
You know
sense?
what? I'm so glad you added that because I interview a lot of
I just wanted
very
to add this.
successful tech executives on our show,
Yeah. Thank you,
Technology
Alex.
Executives Club. But let me just finish this and say that is probably the most important point. It is really about serving the people that your company serves, and
Correct.
whether it's your executives internally or departments. So, Baloo, on behalf of the audience and everybody, thank you, and
Thank you.
thank you,
Thank you very
Amzur,
much,
for putting
Alex.
on. Yep, and thank you, Amzur,